2 weeks ago, I made a video about Ethereum, and last week I made a video about Solana. Both of these are now basically my top 5 and my top 6 most popular video on this channel, and I only assume that they're going to continue to grow, which got me wondering, I wonder what all of you on Discord think. So I set up a poll in the Better Traders Club Discord server to find out what you guys are interested in me making a video about next. Solana, XRP, ADA, XLM, Doge, and overwhelmingly so, 45% of you asked for Solana. So I decided, well, let's do the same poll to see how things go over here on YouTube. And funny enough, SUI over here has 51%, the lion's share of 1,400 votes. So you know what? Let's do it. Let's make a video talking about SUI. Now, first things first, this video is being filmed on Thursday, July 31st. And the reason I say that is because on the 1st, August 1st, there is a SUI unlock. I want to talk about unlocks first. I am not big on unlocks, the fear of unlocks, especially in a bull market. Yes, about a little over 1% of the supply is being unlocked. Thank God it's not 10% of the supply. Unlocks happen at regularly scheduled intervals, and this is part of how a token is launched and how it's grown. Now, the main thing you have to worry about unlocks is when these are happening. Are they happening in the middle of a bull market? Are they happening in the middle of a bear market? Right now, because we're in a bull market, I fully believe we are. An unlock, yes, there might be some negative price action for SUI, but that doesn't really affect the long-term target that I have, which we're going to be talking about in this video. By the time you watch this video, the unlock will have already happened, and you can tell me based off of what the chart looks like, how right or how wrong I was. But honestly, I feel like it's not really going to make that much of a deal or a dent on the price action, considering the fact that if we go over here to look at SUI on basically Binance's USDT market, SUI generates a lot of volume. Yesterday's trading volume was up here at 253 million. So 1% of the market cap, yes, it's a sizable amount, but is that more than the average here per day? Or better yet, on the weekly time frame, is that really going to wildly exceed the 30-week moving average of 1.6 billion? Probably not. I have a sneaking suspicion it's not going to be that way. Now, I want to talk about SUI not as an ecosystem, not as what it does, not about the founders, not about the team. I just want to talk about price action. For all of you that have been watching me here on YouTube for a long time, you know that I don't really talk about founders. I don't talk about projects. I don't talk about roadmaps. I don't talk about news because in my opinion, all that stuff is very much irrelevant. The chart tells the story every time. So when we zoom out, the first thing we need to do is recognize how long has SUI really been in existence. It listed back over here, May 2023. So to be fair, SUI has actually seen a couple of really incredible runs. The first run started back over here, October 2023, which coincides with the Bitcoin spot ETF teaser or the rumor that actually turned out to be true. And we saw SUI absolutely destroy 37 cents, go up to $1, and it goes up even higher, in total up 480%, topping out in March when that alt season ran out. Some of you have been a little bit confused also about alt season. That was very much alt season. That was an incredible time. Now we can see a pullback here. There's a pullback that coincides here with the Nikkei crash that happened on August 5th, 2024. So when we saw the whole election narrative start up again, we saw a very strong recovery starting back here in September for SUI, where it ran all the way up here into January, another 589%, which is incredible. Now, if we really want to say it started from November, okay, sure, fine, let's do that. We'll do it from the election rally. So it's a 200% rally. But still, these are both two impressive moves. And of course, during the period of SUI's existence, it really hasn't experienced a bull market top, but it has experienced two very significant bull rallies, at least in my opinion. So I'm sharing this because this gives us a good context of what could be possible. The main difference about where we are now over here, again, this is basically the end of July the 31st, compared to way back over here, note that SUI fully, I can't say fully, it didn't fully, but it almost fully retraced. After going up 480%, it ends up losing 78% of its value, only to get it all back and then some. while we did see a pretty nasty pullback starting over here in January 2025, all the way down here to our April low on April 7th of 68%, not really the same, didn't really fall down as low as we did last time. So while we could see another move of 400 to 500%, it's very unlikely, in my opinion, mainly because, well, we didn't fall down as much, so we probably won't move up as high. For instance, from our low here back in April to our all-time high is already 190%. If this previous run with 480%, it's going to put us somewhere up here like $10. That would be incredible. 580%? Are you kidding? Yeah, of course, everyone would love these bigger numbers. But one thing you have to consider, no matter how bullish or how incredible the narrative is, the ecosystem is, what products they're selling, the longer a coin exists, especially when things are really bullish, we start to see exhaustion in price action. Now, we've seen amazing rallies for Ethereum and in Solana in the two videos that I shared previously. So when the conditions are right, yeah, we can see charts absolutely take off. And when charts are new and they haven't experienced a bull market, although let's be real, SUI has been existing in a bull market for quite some time, even though it's had some significant pullbacks, it's not necessarily the same as listing right now today, knowing that, at least in my opinion, I think the top is in November of this year. So with that said, yes, while it'd be incredible to have a couple of amazing moves of 500%, I don't really think that's so likely this time around. But we can't really use these measurements to call it a day. We really need to dig in a little bit deeper. So I spent some time looking at some Fibonacci retracements, some support levels to give us a good estimate of where I think a top target will be for SUI and about when it might happen. But before I do that, go ahead and hit the like button. Go ahead and subscribe if you haven't already to this channel. I'm trying to grow this channel to 100,000 subscribers this year, and it all happens because of you. So make sure to like, subscribe, and share the video with others that are interested in crypto and trading. So let's get into it. The first thing I'm going to do is focus on support levels. I do support levels real simple, real easy, real clean. Identifying our low, going to the next low, boom, done. Now, given the severity of this pullback, we're probably not going to see SUI hit this support level anytime soon. But because, as I mentioned before, I believe that we are in a bull market year, technically a top year, that means next year is a bottoming year. So whether you like this information or not, personally, I think that SUI will probably be topping out somewhere here in December, which means that after about 12 months of a bear market, looking at December 2026, somewhere over here, we could see a bottom on SUI just under $1. So just keep that in mind as we start to go through. And again, that would be very generous, assuming that we don't see a major drop. Now, we're going to keep this in mind for when we're looking at our price projections in just a second, but let's just kind of keep it here, but I'm going to go ahead and not erase it, but hide it for now. So we have our long-term support level, which means that we also need to focus on short-term support. And I basically call this a support fan because there are multiple increasing degrees of support levels that are here. We have a long, flat, long-term support level and a short-term support level. The main thing you need to know about this short-term support level right here is that it actually got pierced several times, which is a bit of a point of concern for me. Back over here on June 22nd, we saw a major break of support. Yes, it moved back above, but it tried super hard to stay above until finally it did push up and off. Now, the obvious problem that SUI has right now is that if for some reason the market has another pullback, and it has a pullback right now of 15-16% down here to 326, we start to get a little bit shaky in our confidence thinking of, or rather expecting SUI to go up higher. Now, I do believe that we will see a bullish month of August for crypto. September, probably going to be red. But with that said, if we see any sort of a pullback down to this support level, even though it's been tested and pierced many times, we run the risk of not only breaking this level, but now it switching to resistance, which would be really bad, which means stuff like this, like very not pretty, very not fun, very not exciting. So this is a point of concern that I have for SUI in the short term. So Let's talk about some resistance levels next. Now, this is going to start to look a little bit messy. Unfortunately, it's just how it works. But we want to focus first on our listing resistance right here. So when we focus on our listing resistance to our high way up here, it gives us a really top target of, well, too high for a second. I actually want to change this real quick, and we are going to drag this back down here. Now, there are some people that love to trade like this and talk about support and resistance levels intersecting and all this stuff. To me, this is awful. Like, this is not helpful. It's not effective. It doesn't really show us anything. No good. So I just want to make sure that you understand why I'm choosing this level and not this. Because for one, there are no levels that agree with this pullback. If anything, maybe it's just this one, or maybe it's a real stretch in my opinion. This makes more sense. And the reason why I want to have this super duper high listing resistance level is that it gives us a good target range of where, if things got just absolutely bananas insane, like SUI became the national reserve currency of the United States for some weird reason, we would expect resistance today at $8. It's not happening. Don't get your hopes up. But as you can see, as time goes on, it does give us a really nice target up here, just under $10. Keep that in mind. But the one thing about these listing highs is that they're often short-lived and we usually see pullbacks. So this is a little bit not so helpful in my opinion. So instead, I actually take this level that's right here to this level. So if we take this high to high level, then it gives us more of an accurate picture of where we could see SUI reaching. So again, if we saw some amazing sort of pump today, that gets it right up to $10. Then it starts to shoot up all the way to like $16 by the end of the year. Is that my top target? Absolutely not. No. Are you kidding me? You have to be insane. No way. We're going to get there. But I just want to share why I'm coming up with these levels. So looking at our short-term support and our long-term support, we have a big problem. If you understand technical analysis or follow it and have used it for any time, this is not good. While we will have an amazing high that might be up here, and I don't think it's going to go up like that necessarily, but even if we were to do something like this and even have a bounce down here of support, we start to make a higher high, eventually we're basically getting to a point, and again, I don't think it's going to last this long, but just to prove the point of this formation, this is not a good wedge. This is a bearish wedge that we will eventually break below, and then it will plummet a lot further. Again, down to $1, maybe. I don't necessarily think the market's going to last that long, to be honest, but this is just to emphasize how we should be expecting this. So again, it might be more like this, breaks, and then it falls down to $1. Something like that could happen as well. Why am I being bearish? I'm trying to be more realistic than optimistic because I still believe we are very much at the end of this bull market. Now, drawing support and resistance levels is great, but we really do need to look at some Fibonacci levels to help us determine where things are, where things can go. But before I do that, I want to draw your attention to the description down below. There are links that you can click on to either the Better Traders Club, or you can sign up to Altrady, which is an amazing third-party trading platform. Go into the Better Traders. There's a ton of stuff that we have. And if you're learning, or rather you want to learn how to trade crypto better, check out 15 Minutes to Financial Freedom. It's an awesome course. It comes with coaching. It comes with automated and active trading strategies, lots of stuff. And it also comes with a trial to the Better Traders Club. This is going to be really important. You're going to want to remember this later. Another great thing is that there is a cool deal with Femex right now where you can earn welcome rewards up to $4,800. If you click on this link, it takes you to the Femex page. But I have something really exciting to share with you in regards to Femex, but you have to wait until the end of the video. So let's keep pushing through. I want to talk now about our Fibonacci levels and why I love these levels so much. The Fibonacci sequence, yes, it exists in nature, but it also exists in charting. In both of my Ethereum and Solana videos, I talked about Fibonacci levels, and they actually help me to plot not only previous highs, but future highs. That's why I use them. Now, given the fact that we are looking at a new chart, even though it's been around since May 2023, compared to Solana and Ethereum, SUI is a new chart. We want to use Fibonacci extensions to give us an idea of where we could be headed next. And the idea of these Fibonacci extensions is that it's looking at the 1, the 1272, 1618, 2, 272, 26183, 3, and it just keeps going, laddering all the way up. Please do not misunderstand me. I don't think that SUI is going up to $54, although I know a lot of us would be happy with that. But the reality is that these targets do an incredible job at a couple of things. One, they give us great topside targets. For instance, we can see that from our listing high to our low down here at 36 cents, SUI found resistance not only retracing back up to the 1, but it also found a pullback back to the 1, found some resistance at the 618, even though it pushed above it, found support on the 272, bounced back to the 1. So you see how these levels are respected so much more than the support level that I drew right across. That's why this is so much more helpful. So looking at just this alone, we can see that there is a clear target here at $7.75 and also at $11. Keep this one in mind for a minute. Now we need to do something a little bit more advanced. I really love overlapping Fibonacci levels. And the reason for this is simple, because we can find multiple Fibonacci retracements and all these levels that correspond or agree on price points. So drawing a Fibonacci retracement from our March 2024 high to our August 2024 low, we get a target here, a 1272 of $3.32, a 1618 that hasn't been hit yet, but this came really close to hitting it. But we can see that this has worked really well. And again, a target here of 1027, kind of similar to this target up here at $11. Now we're going to do the same thing again, focusing on our recent fibs. So our recent fibs start here, January 2025, down here to April 2025. And I just remembered something that I see too often in the comments, and I want to clarify quickly. I always use logarithmic charts. I do not like using linear charts in crypto. It just looks ugly. It's not great for charting. I always use logarithmic. And if you're going to be using Fibonacci extensions and retracements, make sure if you're using log scale, you scroll down here to this drawing, and you want to make sure that with log scale enabled, this L is, on, then you want to make sure to turn the fib levels based on log scale on. Because if you don't, you're going to get some very different numbers than what I'm showing in this video. So I think that will already solve a lot of your questions from the last two videos. Looking at this, we can see that it's done a really great job, especially highlighting resistance here at about $4.20. So the next obvious challenge for SUI is to go back to its all-time high here at 536. And then we have a resistance level here at, well, it's funny, 730 and then 1083. Kind of like these levels that are from way back over here. Isn't that weird how those just kind of line up? Now, there will come a point when you start to layer these fib levels that things just start to look a little bit messy. But if you can just kind of blur your eyes a little bit, you will notice a lot of correlating levels, or rather overlapping levels of resistance. Namely, right here at about 420, we have one right here just above or at our all-time high and just above it. Here at about 730 to 775. And then we get kind of a cluster in this range from 1027 up to 1176. Well, that's cool, Aaron. Your lines look really confusing and I don't feel really confident or comfortable looking at this, and pretty much you're making my eyes hurt. Cool, I understand. Let's just focus on a couple of these blocked ranges. And I'm going to go ahead and just highlight this range right here and highlight this range right here. To me, these are the two targets that we should be watching after SUI moves above its all-time high, which I believe is just around the corner. Again, I believe that August will be bullish for crypto. And if for some reason even SUI has a pullback and it does not, I repeat, does not break support, but it holds it, again, I still believe that the top is around the corner for this bull market cycle. So we have these two target zones for SUI, ranging anywhere between, I have to go ahead and click outside of this so it'll play nice, from around $7 up here to about $8 should be a range of resistance for SUI as it pushes up higher. And then starting right around $10 up here to about $12. So going back to this idea of having these support and resistance levels, does this actually match up? Well, funny enough, it does depend on where you think the top is. And I told you before that I think that the top might be in December for alts. For Bitcoin, I'm expecting it to be around November. And typically after Bitcoin tops out, alts will have another extra push, maybe for a couple of weeks. So that might go into early December or so. But let's just say that this is going to be the top. exactly on December 17th. And yes, I will take all the credit for calling the top. You're welcome. That's just how it works. You can't ignore and you can't argue with me either. I'm right. That was the top. I said it in the video. As it goes up, we should be seeing a lot of resistance here around $7, but we could see some big pushes. Now, it's interesting because if we see some sort of top here in December 2025, this year, in about 4 months, just not that far away, $10 seems to be a reasonable target. If we take our high to our high, well, yes, things could go a lot higher, up to like $16. And this one is a lot more vertical. I would much rather be more reasonable. I would much rather be more, I think the word is realistic. And one thing that's interesting to consider is that $10 is a great psychological level of resistance. It's a lot of zeros. 10.00, and it goes on because we have 4 decimal places, because why not? It's crypto. So $10 does seem to be like a decent target for SUI. But here's the thing. If we were just to blindly buy and ape into SUI right here, the reality is that there's a lot of volatility in this chart, even with the fact that it's trying right now to push above this level of like 400, not 400, one day. But right now, 420, and like over here, it said 432. So the reality is that nothing is ever going to go up to the right in a straight line. It will not be a straight shot all the way from our current price at 382 all the way to $10. That will not happen. Although that increase will be very nice, about 163%, but we all know that's not realistic. So how do you get around that? Well, one way I do is I use bots. I actually have 2 new DCA bot strategies that I've shared in the Better Traders Club, because it is now August, and every single month I make a new watch list. And in that watch list, I also create some curated DCA bot templates. What does that look like? What are you talking about? Well, basically this. This is a DCA bot template that is backtested all the way here to January 2nd. Now, to be fair, to be honest, this blue line right here shows our buy and hold. So if we just bought and held the amount that we needed for the bot back over here in January 2024, yeah, we would be up big right now. But the reality is that looking at the bot's performance from, and let's even just zoom out back to here. And let's say we just started the bot right here, at $5. So this is in January. We'll just say from January 1st. We can actually see, well, how did the bot do from January 1st of this year? How will it perform versus buy and hold? So let me go ahead and just update this. It's giving me the runaround. Come on. 2025. Thank you very much. January 1st. Give it a second to think, and we're going to see how this thing performed. So now we can see the bot actually outperforming buy and hold. Why is this? Well, because starting January 1st, we saw a lot of drawdown. It lost 66% of its value. And while it lost 66% of its value, we saw the bot continue to make profits, going up and to the right, nice and steady. So the bot, since January 1st, has generated 35% profit, which is fantastic. This is a really good performing bot. We want to think about this and consider the fact that not everything goes straight up and to the right forever. So we want to use bots to take care of all this crazy volatility that happens. And this is why I love DCA bot trading. So again, you get access to this by joining the Better Traders Club, just so you know. And you have to get on the trader tier at least. Trader and pro tier will get access to this. But there's something that I have for you as a freebie. Now, unfortunately, I don't have it running yet. And I'm trying to work with the team at Femex. You guys maybe have heard me talk about it, but I actually have a long short bot that I've set up, and it looks really messy right here. But all you need to pay attention to is this. This is a long short bot that's been running on SUI, meaning it's going long, it's going short, which means that it generates profits and it generates losses. There will be periods of drawdown where we see the bot here, cumulative P&L at $3,000, and it drops all the way down here to $1,727, only to get it all back and then some. So just like your trading account, there will be ups and downs. There will be drawdown periods, but there will also be times where it absolutely crushes it. And again, this is performance from March 2024. So we can see performance here. There's buy and hold down there, and then there's the bot going long and short. This is a This is a little bit of a challenging strategy to stick with because you might start it here at the top and then you might get going up and down, up and down. It's a little bit frustrating, but long-term longevity wins. So again, you don't necessarily have to sign up to the Better Traders Club. I would love to have you join so that way you can get access to something like this and just run it on your own, whether it's on Altrady or it's on somewhere else. But on Femex, this is going to be available soon. Now, it might not be ready by the time that I finish this video and rather get it posted. But if it is, I'll share a link down below. And even after the fact, I'll make sure to add it in the pinned comment down below. But to get access, of course, you have to sign up. Use the link that's in the description of this video to sign up to Femex with my link. And then you can copy my bot that's going to go long and short on SUI. So again, to summarize, I do think it's realistic to see SUI somewhere up here at $10, probably somewhere, even to be as bold as to say, in December. Things could go higher. Things could also go lower. We have to keep in mind that we still have a decent area of resistance here between $7 and $8. And again, don't be fooled. If you're thinking, wow, this market is so amazing, things are just going to be so good forever and ever and ever, amen. Well, the reality is that eventually we are going to break support. The reality is that we will probably see this chart fall from $7. Oh, I wanted to grab this from $7 or from 10, but even a fall from $10 down here to $1, do not be surprised or discouraged knowing that SUI probably will fall down 90% over the next bear market, as will many, many, many other alts. This is literally the time right now to focus in and to squeeze as much profit as you possibly can. But the reality is, you have to ask yourself, okay, if we're expecting charts to fall down 90%, then what are you going to be doing for the next year while we wait for basically for the market to bottom out? Again, that's where the Better Traders comes into play. I've already talked about exit strategies. I've already talked about how to trade in the bear market in our courses, not to mention the club. Now, I've given you a lot of information in this video because I wanted to give you a couple of perspectives on price, on performance, realistic expectations, how I find price targets, and also how to navigate volatility using bots. I have a lot of stuff to offer you guys, but really, I need to know what you think. I'm really curious to see if there are other charts you'd love for me to do something similar to this. So leave a comment down below. And until the next time, I want you to watch this video first, and then you know what to do. Stay awesome and stay in the green. Peace.